I'd like to call this joint meeting of the Recreation and Education and Ways and Means Committee to order. The purpose of the joint meeting is to hold a public hearing on the 2015-2016 operating budget for Monroe Community College. We will then proceed with the agenda items that have been assigned to both Rec and Ed and Ways and Means. When the Rec and Ed Committee's items are finished, that committee will adjourn and we will complete the remainder of the Ways and Means Committee agenda. Mary.
Sorry. Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll for the Recreation Education Committee?
Dr. Carbone. Here. Mr. Delahanty. Here. Mr. Flagler-Mitchell. Here. Mr. Gamble. Here. Chairwoman Valerio.
Here.
Will the clerk please call the roll for the Ways and Means Committee?
Ms. Andrews is excused. Mr. Baroff? Here. Dr. Carbone? Here. Mr. Daniele? Here. Mrs. Draw is excused. Mr. Haney? Here. Ms. Cayley? Here. Dr. Quattro? Here. Mr. Rocco? Here. Mr. Tucciarello? Here. Chairman Yolovich?
Here.
President Adair?
Here. Would Legislator Daniele be kind enough to lead us in the pledge, please?
We will have a presentation by Dr. Ann Kress, President of MCC. Welcome.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. This will be the 7th budget that I am presenting on behalf of Monroe Community College to the Monroe County Legislature. And it is the 2nd budget that I'll be presenting in the last 4 years in which the college is offering a year-on-year reduction due to reduced cost and cost containment, as well as aligning our college expenditures with enrollment. We have been able to safeguard the quality of instruction while also promoting innovation. And in the end, we'll be delivering a budget that reflects the quality that you have come to expect from Monroe Community College, and it will reduce our budget year on year by over 2%, even though our contractual expenditures will have increased by about 3% over the past year. Our resulting budget, as proposed, is $124.2 million. Excuse me. This emphasis on fiscal responsibility and accountability has been the consistent hallmark of Monroe Community College. It is what you have come to expect from our college, and it is what we have come to deliver. This is important as the college has come to play an ever-increasing role in some critical community initiatives. For the past 5 years, MCC has been at the center of this region's work to close the skills gap, building pathways to meaningful careers that will pay middle-class wages to our residents. Our work has helped regional businesses, many of which are led by MCC alums, to grow and thrive. And in return, these businesses have invested their time and their talent in the college. As Vice President Joseph Biden noted earlier this week in the Photonics Institute announcement, when he needed a national model for community colleges that connected what was happening in the classroom to what industry needed, he looked to MCC. And as he traveled the country, he used Monroe Community College as the national example for what should happen in community colleges. When SUNY was looking for a community college to lead a statewide initiative linking 22 institutions in meeting the workforce needs of New York's advanced manufacturing sector, it also turned to MCC. 3 years ago, partnering with SUNY, we delivered a $14.6 million grant from the Department of Labor to New York State. And that grant has exceeded all deliverables, training across the state more than 4,200 New Yorkers for careers in advanced manufacturing. That further solidified Monroe Community College's reputation as the statewide leader in workforce development. In its earliest days, when the Rochester-Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative was looking for a model for how it could move forward, it also turned to MCC. As Assembly Leader Morelli noted, it looked at the Cradle to Career Alliance, Rock the Future, that MCC had begun 3 years earlier. Assembly Leader Morelli pointed to MCC, and we have remained at the table, whether it is our faculty or staff serving on the steering committee for that initiative, or on the design team, or on work groups, or as cultural brokers, assuring that the voices of those in the community are heard. MCC has continued to help lead this critical effort because we know that higher education is essential for this community to move forward. Each year, our students transfer on to complete their 4-year degrees within SUNY, within the Rochester area colleges, but also far beyond. They go on to Cornell, to Yale, to Amherst, to Columbia, to NYU, to American University, to the University of Michigan, and even to my alma mater, the University of Florida. The quality of our academic programs is manifest in the awards and recognition that our students and our faculty have received. Every year, students in our nursing and other health programs exceed the state and national averages on their licensure exams. Students in our STEM programs complete summer internships in undergraduate research at Stony Brook, at Binghamton, at University of Buffalo, at Syracuse. Students in our service learning programs have been recognized by the White House for their work. And our athletic teams consistently win championships and excel in the classroom, including the swimming and diving teams that were recognized in this chamber earlier this year and are now 4-peat National Women's Lacrosse Champions. And just last year, MCC Professor John Waddock was named the Community College Professor of the Year. That tells you who we are as an institution, thanks to your support. As students and their families seek affordable access to quality higher education, MCC continues to provide that doorway. Even with this year's proposed tuition increase, MCC will be the 3rd least expensive SUNY Community College and the least expensive regional higher education option. About half of our students will graduate with no debt whatsoever attributable to their education at MCC, and those who transfer on after attending MCC will find that their cost of further higher education is reduced because of scholarships they have earned because of their success at our college. At a time when the return on students' and families' dollars in higher education seems to be publicly questioned routinely, MCC assesses its return on its investment regularly, and that is done by an independent third party. Most recently, we've identified a return of $8 in lifetime earnings for every dollar that a student will invest in his or her tuition at MCC, and the return on some of our career and technical education programs can be twice as high. Significantly, this increased income returns to Monroe County, which sees an additional $602 million annually from the credits earned at MCC over the past 30 years. As we look to the next year, we see our enrollment continuing to return to pre-recession levels, and we anticipate a year-on-year budget-to-budget enrollment decline of 8.2% in state-aidable programs. Our proposed tuition is $3,800 for a full-time student for a full year in the upcoming academic year, and this tuition increase has been supported by both of our student governments as well as our governing board of trustees. In part, this tuition is driven by the limited increase in state funding to MCC. The $100 per full-time equivalent increase provided by the state to community colleges this year was welcome, and it takes us to about $2,597 per full-time equivalent student in state aid, but that is still below pre-recession funding levels to community colleges. We are requesting an increase of $250,000 from our sponsoring county, and this request recognizes both the essential role that Monroe Community College plays in our community and the financial challenges that are affecting all of the counties in New York, including Monroe. We are budgeting the use of about $700,000 in fund balance in the upcoming budget, and as I began, our budget next year will be more than 2% below the current year. In real dollars, it's about $2.7 million. On behalf of MCC, I want to thank each of you and the taxpayers that you represent for your continued commitment to our shared college. The strength of MCC today reflects decades of investment from this chamber in what MCC does, in our mission. Your belief and support of our mission has made us a model in our state, in our region, and in our nation. But most importantly, it has made us effective in delivering on the promise of opportunity that students come to MCC to find. You have invested in assuring that MCC has state-of-the-art facilities, learning environments, and state-of-the-art academic and student support programs, as well as workforce training programs and student life programs. On behalf of our students, I thank you for that investment. And today, I ask that you continue both your investment in MCC and your high expectations for our performance. As our history shows, we will provide an inspiring return. Thank you.
We will now hold a public hearing on the approval of Monroe Community College's 2015-2016 operating budget.
Affidavits of publication and posting of the notice of the hearing in the Daily Record and Rochester Business Journal have been received and are on file in the clerk's office.
Is there anyone signed up to speak in regard to the public hearing of the MCC budget?
There is not.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak with regard to the MCC budget? There being none, I declare the public hearing closed.
Ms. Slocum, are there any speakers to address either committee this evening?
There is not.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address either committee this evening? There being none, I declare the public forum closed.
Members of the Recreation and Education Committee, you have the minutes from the May 19th, 2015 meeting. They will stand approved as submitted unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day.
Members of the Ways and Means Committee, you have the minutes from the June 23rd, 2015 meeting. They will stand approved as submitted unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day.
Okay, we will now move on to new business. Please note the asterisk and initialized print on your agenda for action by both committees. Ms. Slocum, please read the item to be considered by both committees.
Referral 15-0207.
And I will second it. So it was moved by Legislator Delahanty and seconded by Ms. Valerio. Okay. At this time, are there any questions from the members of the Recreation and Education Committee only? All right, there being none, we will move to a vote. All those in favor from the Recreation and Education Committee signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries.
And now, from the Ways and Means Committee, the item is moved by, I recognize President Adair.
Thank you, Chairman Yolovich. At this time, this being the last time that I will be able to vote on an MCC budget, and I'm very proud of the work that has been accomplished at the community college, and it being will be my last year as a trustee there. It would be my honor tonight to forward this to the Ways and Means Committee this time.
And I will second it as the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, being it's my last one too. At this time, are there any questions from members of the Ways and Means Committee? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do the MCC wish to come forward?
Ms. Kress, would you, maybe you'd want to come right back to the podium. I guess it'd be just as easy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, I note on page 6 that the employee fringe benefit rate is approximately 50% of personnel services. That seems very high to me. Could you comment on what makes it so high?
Through the chair, the majority of employees at the college are part of negotiated contracts. contracts that date back probably close to 40 years or more at this point. So those are in some part legacy benefits. With each new contractual negotiation, we seek to bring the benefit rate closer to what you might see in other areas. But at this point, that's where it is, through the chair.
Through the chair, your calculation of fringe benefits, does it just include traditional fringe benefits like pension and health insurance, life insurance, etc.? Or does it also include things like vacation time payroll and sick time payroll and that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Through the chair, yes, it does. It includes additional items such as those you mentioned.
Oh, okay. You might want to note that in the future, because most places, when they present a fringe benefit rate, they don't include the regular payroll stuff, and it makes you look a little high. Through the chair, in the same vein, when I looked at the detail by area, the fringe benefit rates varied significantly. In the instructional area, the fringe benefit rate was 40%, and in the academic support area, the fringe benefit rate was 43%. But then in maintenance and operations, it was 52%, general administration was 54%, and general institutional was 142%. Could you comment on why it varies so from area to area?
Through the chair, the area you mentioned that was over 100% in benefit rates, it is and it covers retirees, and so there are no salaries to go against that benefit rate, so which makes it look inflated. Through the chair, the other differences are largely due to differences in the contract between the CSEA and the Faculty Association, and also differential wages. So with the Faculty Association, you're going to see most of those employees are going to make more than employees in the CSEA sector, so it's comparing full professors and professors to grounds workers and facilities workers in CSEA, as well as clerical staff. So the differences in the wages make the benefit rate look like a larger percentage.
But through the chair, the instructional area and academic support area, the rates are lower than they are in maintenance and operation and general administration. Does the faculty have lower fringe benefits?
Through the chair, their salaries are higher. So even the same level of benefits against a higher salary would look like a lower percentage.
I note on page 7 that you're expecting an enrollment drop next year of about 8%. And I realize this is largely a demographic issue. It has nothing to do with the quality of the college. Do you have any, and the demographic trends are going to go on for another 4 or 5 years, as I understand it. Do you have any sense for where the floor is going to be for enrollment in the future?
Through the chair, we think we're approaching that floor for enrollment for a number of reasons. One is that when we look at the students who aren't enrolling, it's largely the same groups of students who came to us during the recession. The other thing that we're seeing is that we're buoying up enrollment, but in non-traditional areas. So non-credit enrollment, for example, the welding certification or some of the IT certifications, enrollment's growing there. So I think what we are predicting and what we're looking at strategically is that we're really seeing a shift for some of our students from where they want to attend their classes. They're not as interested in credit enrollment, for example, as they are in attaining skill sets that will help them find employment.
So you think you're near the floor?
Through the chair, correct.
Okay. And the final question I have, Mr. Chairman, I note on page 8 that you're only predicting $5,000 of interest income next year. And given the fact that at the end of your last fiscal year, you had $56 million of cash, I mean, that would be an interest rate of only 0.01% or 1/100th of a percent. And at the risk of beating a years-old horse, this just seems abysmally low that on $56 million you'd only earn $5,000 of investment income. I mean, what do you have a plan for what that $56 million is for? What are you ever going to use all this cash for?
Through the chair, we do have an investment plan that we have created and I believe shared with this group before that would guide any investments. And I'll also ask our Vice President and Chief Financial Officer to respond to that.
Thank you, President Chris. Through the chair, the $5,000 reflected there is the interest income that we book, but the bulk of our cash is actually the earnings from it is shown as a reduction in the cost to the banks. So we get 70 basis points on our not investments, but our deposits in the banks, but that shows up as a reduction in our expenses, and therefore we don't show it here as income earned.
Through the chair, what roughly are the banks charged, and it's M&T's, I believe?
Well, it's both M&T and Chase.
And roughly, what is the gross amount that they're charging you for services?
After the charge or the deposit earnings as a result of the basis points, our net cost is about $240,000 per year.
What's the gross cost before the application of the earnings?
Through the chair, that's 70 basis points, 1%, 350. It's probably around somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000 gross.
$500,000 and $600,000? When was the last time the college did an RFP for banking services?
Through the chair, that hasn't happened in the last 8 years.
I would strongly suggest to the college that the time might be long overdue to do an RFP for banking services. It would appear to me that $600,000 is an extraordinarily high amount for the bank to be charging you for banking services. I'd strongly, I mean, I won't be here to follow up, much to everybody's joy, but I would strongly urge you to do an RFP for banking services.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, MCC, for your great presentation.
Are there any other matters to come before the Recreation and Education Committee? There being no other matters, the July 29th, 2015 meeting of the Recreation and Education Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Recreation and Education Committee is scheduled for Tuesday, August 18th at 5:30. Thank you.
Rec and Ed is excused, and we will now continue with the rest of the Ways and Means Committee meeting. At this time, we will have a presentation by Mr. Alan Walther, who is a partner with the Bonadeo Group. Mr. Walther, if you'd please come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Alan Walther. I'm a partner with the Bonadio Group. We are the independent auditors for the County of Monroe. We are here tonight to present to the committee the results of our audit of the financial statements of the County of Monroe for the year ended December 31st, 2014. Our role as your independent auditors is really to accomplish three things. First is to audit the county's financial statements and give our opinion on their financial statements. Second, we consider the county's internal controls and compliance in accordance with government auditing standards and give a report on internal controls and compliance, but not an opinion. And then finally, we consider the internal controls and compliance at the federal OMB Circular A-133 level and report on internal controls and give an opinion on your compliance. That relates to the federal dollars that run through the county. We have a required communication letter that we have issued to the county, which I would like to verbally give some of the highlights of that to the Ways and Means Committees. Professional standards require that we communicate this information each time that we perform an audit. Some of the significant highlights that I want to communicate with regard to accounting policies. During 2014, no new accounting policies were adopted, and application of existing policies was not changed. The county's financial statements include some significant estimates, the most significant of which are the estimate of other post-employment benefits. What that estimate entails predominantly is an actuarially calculated estimate of the county's future liability to its retirees for health insurance benefits. Another significant estimate is the allowance for uncollectible accounts. And finally, the third significant estimate that we consider is depreciation, which is based upon the estimated useful lives of the county's various assets. With regard to each of those estimates, we evaluated the key factors and assumptions going into their development and determined that they were reasonable to the financial statements taken as a whole. Difficulties encountered in performing the audit. If we had any difficulties encountered when we performed the audit, we would have to report them to the committee, and we're pleased to report that we did not have any difficulties. Similarly, if we had any disagreements with management with regard to adjusting entries or the application of accounting policies or anything such as that, we would have to report that as well. And we're also pleased to report that no disagreements arose during the course of our audit. The overall results of our audit: we issued an unmodified opinion on the county's financial statements. That is the highest level of assurance that we can give on your financial statements. That means that in our opinion, the county's financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. With regard to internal controls and non-compliance at the financial statement level, at the government auditing standards level, we had no instances of compliance findings, and we identified no internal control findings. With regard to internal controls at the OMB A-133 federal level, we had a finding with regard to adoption assistance. There were 2 cases where ineligible children continued to receive benefits after the age of 18, and we issued an unmodified opinion on your compliance with federal programs. Our audit is a collaborative effort between our auditors, our auditing staff, and the county. We'd like to thank, at this time, all of the county's staff with their assistance in helping us perform our audit. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Walther. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're excused. If there's any questions about the report, they can be directed to Mr. Franklin through in writing. Did you hear me? Yes. We'll continue with the rest of the Ways and Means Committee meeting. Madam Clerk?
Referral 15-0214, acceptance of a grant from the New York
Moved
State.
by Legislator Rocco, seconded by Legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, Legislator Haney, I'm sorry, I missed you.
May I ask a question about this introductory without it being in writing?
Sure.
Thank you. How are the allocations, through the chair, how are the allocations, or who determines the allocations of the funds between the district attorney, the sheriff, and the probation office?
Through the chair, the award amounts were determined by the Division of Criminal Justice Services.
Do you have, through the chair, do you have any idea how they decide on those allocations? I mean, it strikes me that, given the nature of the program, the money being given to the probation is not as much as I would like to see. Do you have an idea what criteria they use?
Through the chair, I know that our local task force was limited to applying for $2 million in funding, and that's what we applied for. And that's across the Rochester Police Department, the Sheriff's Office, all of the county agencies. And we received, as a task force, just over $1.7 million.
But the state determined how you have to split that up?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0215,
Moved by Legislator Tucciarello, seconded by Legislator Quattro. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
referral 15-0216,
Moved by Legislator Quattro, seconded by Legislator Daniele. Legislator Haney.
Through the chair, has there been a change in who's coordinating the local reentry program? I thought the Catholic Family Center was the coordinator of the program.
Through the chair, Bob Burns from the Office of Probation. The Catholic Family Center was awarded the contract for a number of years. The last time a request for applications or request for proposals was released, Catholic Family Center did not apply. So the Delphi is the awardee.
Really, through the chair, the Catholic Family Center chose not to apply?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Huh. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
referral 15-0217,
Moved by Legislator Daniele, seconded by President Adair. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
referral 15-0218,
Moved by President Adair, seconded by Legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
referral 15-0219,
Moved by Legislator Carbone, seconded by Legislator Rocco. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
referral 15-0220,
Moved by Legislator Rocco, seconded by Legislator Tucciarello. Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I ask what the engineer's estimates were for this work?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the bids came in 33% below the engineer's estimate of $2.2 million.
So that's in the, were in each of the four categories, were they also below?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that was in aggregate.
Okay. And that's through the chair, and that's the only way the engineer estimated it was in the aggregate?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, no. I can go through each of the contracts.
Are they all below?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, no.
Oh. Well, why don't you just highlight the one
Sure.
that's above the...
Sure. Through you, Mr. Chairman, general came in less than 1%. Electrical came in 12.5% above. HVAC contract came in 10% above. And the elevator contract came in 42% below.
42%? Wow. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0221.
Moved by Legislator Tucciarello, seconded by Legislator Quattro. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, the county this summer appears to be doing a considerable amount of repaving. I've seen a number of really good repaving jobs done. Do you have any idea of all the repaving that you're doing? Do you have any rough estimate as to how much is being paid for with state money in these programs versus county-generated money? Do you have any rough idea?
Through the chair, what you're seeing in some places, we had some federal money to do some mill and resurfacing projects. For instance, out on Winton, Bay Road, Marsh, Culver, you'll see Westfall finish up, Penfield Road. That was federal transportation money of which we have a share as well as the state is paying for part of it. There is some, and that total I don't have, that came through the legislature several cycles ago, what that contract was worth. And we also have the CHIPS money that we use some for mill and resurfacing, which as you see here, we get over $5 million worth of CHIPS dollars. And then we have our own mill and resurfacing program that we use to do that as well, and that is around, I think, about $1.5 million this year for just county funded.
So through the chair, the great bulk of the work is being funded with federal and state money. Is that correct?
Through the chair, I guess I'd qualify myself on saying that CHIPS is state money. It's really our gas tax coming back to us.
Yeah, okay. I'm most familiar with the job on both Penfield Road and Clinton Avenue. And those are really nice jobs that were done.
Through the chair, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0222.
Moved by Legislator Quattro, seconded by Legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion? Legislator Cayley.
Say that with a
Forgot
sound.
you were there.
Yeah. I got the phone this week. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for recognizing me. I apologize for not being at Human Services yesterday and just wanted to ask a couple quick questions on this one. The referral says that it, through you to administration, that it helps to fund a part-time contracted nurse or LPN for outreach. And could you tell me, is this a year-long position for this part-time person, or is it a school year position? Thank you. And then, thank you, and through you, Mr. Chairman, can you identify one of the recreation centers that are being targeted here?
Through the chair, the nursing staff is currently working with the City of Rochester to identify the correct recreation centers where this will happen.
Thank you. If I could have those results in writing after that's decided, I would greatly appreciate it. Do you have any, through the chair, do you have any intuition as to their choice, what their choices might be, and how many might be affected by this? Thank you.
Through the chair, we are looking for rec centers on the southwest and northeast side, and we're looking for up to 5 centers.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Regarding the number of service advisors, contractors we have relations with right now, how many are there? We're talking about modifying, amending 2 of them, or up to 2 of them. How many do we currently have relationships with?
Through the chair, I can get that information to you.
I'd appreciate that. But through the chair, for now, are we talking a couple more, dozens? Do we know? Approximate one?
Through the chair, for this grant in particular,
Yes.
I believe these are the only for this grant in particular, but I will verify that for you.
Thank you. That was my precise question.
Okay.
Thank you much.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0223.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by President Adair. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I recall from the budget, we charge the water systems for testing the public water supplies. So my question is, with this grant, does that mean that we're going to be making money on the testing of public water supplies?
Through the chair, no, the program does not make money on the water suppliers. This particular grant will offset additional costs to the county for increased regulations associated with the Safe Drinking Water Act and the 1996 amendments.
So, through the chair, the county is expending $700,000 plus on drinking water protection? Oh, this is a 5-year grant, so it's $100,000 a year, is that?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Okay.
This is a 5-year grant, and on an annual basis, the cost per year will be $138,611.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0224.
Moved by President Adair, seconded by Legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion? Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, is there, first of all, can you define what constitutes an out-of-care patient? I guess it's not clear to me.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, the out-of-care patients are identified by New York State through the Cascade to eliminate HIV, and these are individuals who have not received certain lab tests in greater than 13 months in any certified lab in New York State.
Thank you. And then lastly, through the chair, how many patients, does it vary? It could obviously vary, but how many patients have you reached out in the last, this is the 3rd year, in the first 2 years, or what's your expectation?
Through the chair, in our initial year, we reached over 100 patients. We continue to receive approximately 10 new out-of-care patients each month from the state, and we have an over 95% relinkage to care rate.
Thank you, but I'm going to ask one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Through the chair, are any of the relinkage or the reconnection over this past 2-year period, have any of them been initially an out-of-care patient and have gone back out of care? Is there an expectation that this could happen?
Through the chair, I think what you're saying is if we link them once and they could fall back out in greater than 13 months, would they be re-referred? The answer is yes. We would relink back into care.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0225.
Moved by Legislator Carbone, seconded by Legislator Rocco. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0226.
Moved by Legislator Rocco, seconded by Legislator Tucciarello. Legislator Haney.
Through the chair, what is the medical countermeasure program?
Through the chair, medical countermeasure program is giving out medications or medical supplies to our county residents in time of need in some type of public health emergency.
So we're not taking countermeasures against medical care. We're taking counter.
Through the chair, no, we are not.
Okay. Have we ever activated this system?
Through the chair, yes, we have. During H1N1 back in 2009 to 2010, we ran During the H1N1 pandemic influenza cases in 2009-2010, we ran 5 different points of dispensing sites throughout the county. And I'll tell you, nearby counties, such as Erie County, have run points of dispensing to give out medical countermeasures for hepatitis A incidents as recently as March of this year.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0227.
Moved by legislator Tucciarello, seconded by legislator Quattro. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0228.
Moved by legislator Quattro, seconded by legislator Daniele. Legislator Haney.
Among the subcontracts, through the chair, among the subcontracts, and it's identified on page 7, I think, although they're not numbered, is one to the Catholic Family Center for $210,000 for chemical dependence prevention services in various schools. But there's only 5 of all the schools in the county. There's only 5 schools that are listed that they're going to be providing these services in. How are they selecting their schools, or how does a school get these services or not get them?
Through the chair, this is Dave Putney, Monroe County Office of Mental Health. The prevention service providers will typically reach out to school districts, either with which they've had an established historical relationship and continue those, or certainly sometimes they are approached by schools. So they have a selection process that really is based upon how much they have to expend and how much services they can do, what their continuing contracts are like, and if they lose a school or a school moves on to another service provider, then they have room to add some.
Through the chair, is it appropriate that this vendor should be getting $210,000 and only serving 5 schools?
Through the chair, I can get the specific breakdown, further, and we can discuss that, but it certainly seems appropriate based on allocation of staff. Prevention services are primarily accomplished through assigned staff with specialized training who are situated within the schools, work closely with school administrators, counselors, social workers, psychologists, etc., and with parents, families.
But through the chair, it's your professional judgment that it is appropriate that this vendor get $210,000 for serving just these 5 schools?
Through the chair, I have no established reason to believe that it's not. Historically, it would be borne out by similar funding patterns with other prevention programs.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify. I'm sorry, Legislator Barra.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, I was actually myself looking at another one of the purchase of service information forms, and this one is actually from for the Center for Community Alternatives. And my question is, it makes clear why the number of individuals served is going to drop from 2014 was 450 down to 175. And the reason being, if I read this correctly, is because of the expiration of a grant from New York Source. My question is, given that this is the case, that they lost this funding and anticipating serving fewer individuals, do we know what is going to become of those individuals who have been receiving services prior? I would estimate a couple hundred.
Through the chair, yes. New York SOARS, in terms of the local effort, has been working through their well-established channels that we have through our collaborative efforts with other chemical dependency providers, with other prevention providers, to ensure that there's an individualized plan for each person who's currently been enrolled. But I would be remiss to not say that it is a loss to our community, to the loss of funding.
I would agree. And thank you. Through the chair, one additional question. Am I correct to assume then that the contract amount, which is now for $262,000 with the Center for Community Alternatives, is significantly lower than past years?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0229.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by President Adair. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0230.
Moved by President Adair, seconded by legislator Carbone. Legislator Baroff.
Through the chair of the administration, I'll be frank, I'm unfamiliar with this lawsuit.
If we're going to discuss this at any length other than what's printed there, we're going to have to close up and go into executive session. Second? All those in favor? I guess we don't have to go, we don't even have to vote on it. It's, if we're going to talk about it, we got to go in executive session. So everyone that is not involved, I'm sorry, you got to stand outside the door for a while. item number 230, which was moved by President Adair and seconded by Legislator Carbone. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0231.
Moved by Legislator Carbone, seconded by Legislator Rocco. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do I understand from the transmittal that the Gates-Charlie-Ogden Sewer District is buying the Millseat pump station from the county?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, this is really one in a series of referrals that have been submitted where we have pump stations that are being transferred into the district. They might have been owned by a municipality. In fact, there was a referral last month, the John Street, Scottsville, and John Street, Scottsville, and Pinnacle Road pump stations are being transferred into the Pure Waters districts. In fact, we have another one coming up next month. So we've been going through that process, getting pump stations transferred as district assets when maybe there was an operating agreement in place. In this particular case, this pump station in Forest, Maine is being transferred for all intents and purposes from the solid waste enterprise into the Pure Waters district. It has been operated, maintained like a district asset. But because the property on Brew Road has been sold and obviously there is interest to develop that property, the sewer cannot function as a public sewer until it is transferred into the Pure Waters district.
How much is the Pure Waters District paying the solid waste fund for the station?
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the solid waste presently pays for the capital associated with that. Waste management is paying an O&M expense as an industrial discharger into the system itself. So Pure Waters is made whole from costs associated with operation and maintenance of the pump station.
But through the chair, is Pure Waters paying the solid waste fund to take the pump station over, or are they just assuming future debt service costs? Or?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that had been charged back to Pure Waters. Mr. Franklin just clarified. And the district now will pay that debt directly, and the sewer itself will then become publicly available for all intents and purposes. And that's required to go through an increase in approval process to make that possible.
So Pure Waters will assume future debt service, but is not making any lump sum payment to the solid waste fund?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Okay. There's a number quoted in the transmittal of $210.44. Do I infer from this that the average user in the Gates-Charlie-Ogden Sewer District is going to end up paying $210.44 a year to carry the future debt service, et cetera, related to this?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, and this is language that we include in all of our increase and improvement of facilities. In 2015, the ratepayer would pay $210. Let's see. Through you, Mr. Chairman, that's the average annual price that a district user would pay. And that's based on average consumption.
Right.
And what we're obligated to demonstrate is what would be the potential rate increase associated with taking on this debt. And we've estimated that to be $8.65. However, in our what will be our proposed 2016 budget, we're able to incorporate that expense into the budget without a rate increase.
Oh, so through the chair, the incremental increase is the $8.65. The $210.44 is everything, the total bill.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, that is correct. That's based on an average consumption that
Right.
gives us our ability to identify what a ratepayer would pay. But we have to estimate what the potential impact would be as part of our submittal to the comptroller's office. But there will not be a corresponding rate increase associated with this.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. We have a couple of MOIs on the end here. Jamie?
Referral 15-0234.
Moved by legislator Rocco, seconded by legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0235.
Moved by legislator Tucciarello, seconded by legislator Quattro. Is there any discussion? Legislator Cayley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration. It indicates that there was an additional service provider. What would that service provider be?
Through the chair, there's actually CCSI to do the program monitoring and Catholic Family Center they are a combined program with Lifespan for elder source care managers so that we can expand access for information and assistance, especially to Medicaid population.
All right, so if I understand then, the MOI is more of adding the additional service provider information versus the additional funding, or both?
Both, through the chair.
Thank you. When I'm looking at the numbers through the chair to the administration, it's over $500,000 coming in that for this budget, but I don't see any significant rise over the current 2015 projections to the 2016 projections. So is it anticipated that this isn't going to result in an effort to reach out to more individuals or not? We're looking at kind of like the same count.
Through the chair, the main portion of this funding is one-time funding through the federal government to expand access, and it's primarily going to be structured for infrastructure improvements, a new phone system for the Lifespan, New York Connects operators that'll have voice over IP. They'll be able to record calls. They'll be able to accept signatures and things like that online.
All right, thank you. And then on the last page, of the number indicated, this is on the last page of the referral, of the number indicated 900 through the chair, 900 will be by telephone and on a one-to-one basis. Can you be a little bit more definitive with that? Are only 900 people are going to be called on the telephone, and then separately the rest are one-to-one? I'm looking for a little bit more definition.
It's 1 second through the chair.
Sure.
Through the chair, can you repeat the question?
On the last page, it says of the number through the chair. 900 will be by telephone and on a one-to-one basis. I just don't understand that.
Sure, through the chair. Unfortunately, because this is an expansion of an existing program, we are making estimates based on the population to be served, and they can be served both as they walk through the door or if they call on the telephone.
So we're speaking about, through the chair, 900 would either be by telephone or a one-to-one.
Through the chair, that is correct.
And then the remainder of the recipients would be responding through the chair by how?
Through the chair, they can do a web inquiry as well as phone or walk-in through the chair.
All right, thank you. One last question. Of the total number of recipients, respondents of these surveys and services, would you say that there's a considerable overlap to those that respond to more than one through the chair?
Through the chair, the 900 is unduplicated. So there may actually be additional people calling and coming for the same instance and the same question. However, it's unduplicated clients.
No, I'm sorry. It's my fault. I didn't state the question right through the chair. Of all these surveys that there are 1, 2, 3 of all the population that is surveyed through the chair, is it reasonable to assume that some of those of the, like say on the last page, the respondents on that one might also be respondents on one of the other surveys that are being done for different services?
Through the chair, for this particular survey, they should be an unduplicated additional count of 900. However, they could be receiving additional services through other areas of the Aging Services Network.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Hearing none, the July 29th, 2015 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Ways and Means Committee is Wednesday, August 19th, 2015 at 6 p.m. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen.